This podcast is brought to you by The Secrets Wedding Band. Get your party off in the right note. For more info, contact The Secrets Wedding Band today at www.thesecrets.ie or find us on Facebook.
Broadcasting live from the little town of Clara, County Offaly, it's What's the Story with Lloyd Bracken. Get in touch today through all our social channels and have your say. Oh, and thanks for listening. Now it's over to you, Lloyd. What's the story?
Oh, sweet 16, pretty queen, loves to date the boys. Laughs and screams and giggles at every little noise. Turns her head a little and turns her head a while. But we know she's only putting on the style. Oh, putting on the style.
Hi everyone, welcome back. This is episode 7. Weeks are flying by. Huge reaction to Rafina Rex podcast. So thanks very much for that. And thanks to John Lowe for his man of the match performance on that podcast as well. Right, my next guest would probably need a week-long podcast to get through what we're supposed to get through. It's an unusual one for me. And it's also, I suppose, pretty safe to say that I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for my next guest. It's also fair to say he's a local legend. It's my great pleasure to introduce my father, Paddy Bracken. What's the story?
What's the story is right.
Or Daz, you're also known. What do you want to be called?
Anything at all, once it's not too early in the morning.
You've been called a lot worse
since I got the pension.
Let's give you some of your stats then, right?
Yeah.
82 years old, 44 years in Goodbodies, 60 odd years in music, 60 years married, 9 kids, 1 favourite, 29 grandkids, 1 great grandchild, and 1 heart bypass. But how did you only have 1 bypass after all that?
Well, I had only one vein in my leg that suited the heart, so they told me not to come back again. And then I asked them, what was the vein doing in my leg for a year? They're trying to figure out that, and James has ever since.
You're born and bred in Boland's Terrace to your parents, Joseph and Elizabeth Bracken. What comes to mind from those times in your childhood?
Oh, great times. Yeah, the Stones is next door. 6 houses at the time was up for grabs. Yeah, great times and great neighbours, yeah. Hurling on the road, playing football, no trucks, no cars on the road, nothing.
Nice
you might see a bike, Joe Sheridan going to the town or something, wherever it's at. Yeah.
Tell me about your parents.
Well, my father was a gardener in all his life, but before that, he worked in the minister's milkman there, milking the cows. They used to go down with him every Sunday and give him a hand to bring them in. Sunday was the same as Monday with him. Had to keep going. There was 7 of us at home. Yeah, great times, yeah. Great memories, yeah. And the bog, of course. Yeah. My mother came from Heitlamore, a Grinnan. Loads of twins in the family. Pat and Sam, Jack and Noel. Yeah, great family. Yeah. We used to love going in there at night. We'd be going down with my mother and we all kids to the terrace to visit Aunt Leal. Right. She lived to be 103.
So there's hope for you yet.
And I had no bypass.
You said there was 7 in your family. Sadly, I suppose some of them are no longer with us, including Seamus, Anna, Susan and Reese.
That's right.
That was a busy house. What did you do to pass the time?
Well, there was no radio at the time or no television. There was no nothing actually. Only the Angelus, if you said, without a telly or anything like that in the evenings. That was the big thing. They'd all stand up and my mother would be giving it out and halfway through we'd all start laughing as usual.
Would you be reprimanded now for laughing at the Angelus?
Oh, no, it'd be desperate. Sacrilege, yeah. Esther is in the nursing home there in Dublin, yeah.
You still visit her a lot?
Visit her, not since this thing happened with the virus, like.
Yeah.
But I used to go up on the train. It was great, actually. And then I got the Lewis, and then I got the 40 bus out.
I seen you one day in the train with dark glasses on, the very same as Bono.
I'd have a headache some Monday mornings after an old playing with Scally and drinking, so you wouldn't want to talk to anyone.
Your brother Joe lived in Clara, but he's now living in Athlone.
Athlone. Joe played with me for years in the band, yeah. And Jerry Redmond, 2 of them there together. It was great times, yeah.
We get to the bands in a while, but what's it like to be the last person in Clara from your family? You're the last remaining
Yeah,
Bracken,
no one
I
around.
suppose.
Yeah, very sad. But then with the big family we have, sure, every day there's something. But I still keep in contact with all the nephews in England, John Bracken and Alan and Anne, I keep in touch with them. Big extended family, So I need to be in America then, Kevin's over there, the grandkids, and Alan.
Yeah.
So I ring them nearly every week and then I hang up. And they ring me.
You said your childhood was a happy childhood. Yeah?
Oh, yeah, great time.
What about your school days?
The school days, yeah. Brother today, it's Jim Conley, are you listening? Yeah, it was good, but you'd be terrified of the monks, like.
Would you?
I would, yeah.
Why?
Brother Nicholas and them all, yeah. I had a floggers, like.
Very stern.
Oh, yeah, I remember one time he was showing, Jesus, we wouldn't be anywhere. Only on the bog or somewhere. Brother Tadeusz was showing them Africa on the map up on the wall. Me and Jim Conley was chatting. Bracken, come up and show me Africa now. Say Africa is there. I put the pointer up there and he took it off me straight across the back. Oh, he laddie, yeah.
They were wicked times.
Africa, we never hear tell it. Like.
Yeah.
It was still a great times as well. And there was brilliant monks there as well, yeah.
What was Clara like back then compared to now?
Ah, jeez, it was great. The green field was great. There'd be carnivals coming, Piper's caravan, a carnival, would be bumping cars, and yeah, it was a great place. Yeah, Clara.
Would you have money to go to these places? The carnival.
Very little. The wages are small, but sure, a few quid. Away with it, like we being Jimmy Sullivan's, me and Louis Keane and Tom Wedge, Farron Maloney, all the boys, Brendan Kennedy. Then we'd head for the county ballroom in later years in Tullamore. Yeah, all for a few quid, yeah.
Brilliant. I had a message in from your nephew and godson, Tommy Rickard.
Tommy Rickard in Galway.
He sends his best wishes. He said you let him drive for the first time ever in a Mark I Ford Cortina. And he even remembered the reg of it. Do you remember the reg?
No, I had 5 of them, I think.
It was EIE 77.
I never got paid. I never got time to pay for them, exactly. I used to change them at
They
the
were
end.
repossessed. He said other memories from Tommy was up in the field in Erie with the ass and cart, cutting timber.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
And he said he remembers sneaking out the back door in Church Street to go to gigs with you, and he said his father never knew.
Never knew.
Sassy. So he also added that you're a great uncle and said one of his best friends. So nice words from Tommy.
I ring Tommy, and Tommy rings me every week there.
Yeah.
And Terence and Lila, and I wish Jennifer well. Yeah.
We all want to know, where did you meet my mother?
Well, where did you meet her? Reverend Shane.
Do you know what we do? We let Mammy tell us where you met her. Right, Ma, I want to know the official story. So where did you meet?
Ma and Dad were away at the time, and there was a carnival in Glasson. So a couple of the girls were going, and I decided I'd go as well. Little did I know that I was the end of my life.
And 60 years later.
60 years later.
So you met in Glasson. What was that at?
Carnival. Marky was brilliant. But there was your dad come down from Clara with Louis Keane and a few of the lads. It was brilliant. I forget the name of the band now. Could have been Joe Dolan, I don't know. We got engaged about 6 months after. And then we were to get married on Valentine's Day. And the only reason we couldn't get married on Valentine's Day because you could only get married then on a Saturday morning at 10 o'clock.
Right.
So that was it. So that was Valentine's Day gone.
So what did my granny and grandfather think of this dad coming out from Clara?
Oh, did he was great. Yeah, my father in particular, because he used to sing Jim Reeves songs for him.
So what was it like moving to Clara then?
A big shock. But then we got a house in Marion Square and it was brilliant. I had great neighbours there, so after that then, Sandra was born then, so that was a whole new life.
Yeah. So was it a happy 60 years?
Oh, brilliant. Couldn't be better.
Yeah.
I did what I wanted to do and he did. That's why we're so long together.
That's great advice, isn't it? So that was from my mother, so is that the truth, is it?
Yeah, most of it, yeah. Good old time. Yeah.
But she told me
Great times.
privately that she only went with you because you had a car.
She didn't see the car, though, did you know? A Ford Anglia.
I think she was after Joe Dolan down there, I think. So if you knew then at that carnival in Glasson that you'd eventually have 9 kids and 29 grandkids, would you have went home early?
Great times, yeah. Louis Keenan and Tom Welsh, Brendan, we all go, the same lads, down to the carnival, into the pub and have a few drinks. We were all drinking small bottles of Guinness.
Was drink a big thing back then?
Yeah, oh yeah, it's like now the same crack, you know.
When you got married in your first house, you moved to Marion Square.
That's right.
Tell us about that.
It was great. Our house was up with the council house. Paddy Mara out of Green, a great friend of mine. Dennis Mara's Lord of Mercy, two of them. I was asked Paddy, he rang Oliver J. Flanagan, although we were up around Fianna Fáil. And of course Paddy had a chat with him, said he was working with me and palling around.
But so Marion Square, good times, lots of good neighbours there, no?
Oh, brilliant. The Malays, everyone in general. Christy Collins, bonfire night, he'd be out playing the fiddle, and the river at the back. Fishing, Johnny Mullins, go Christy, down the river, fishing, everything. I love Marion Square, yeah, it's brilliant. Yeah.
You moved the house then a good few times after that.
Yeah,
you
for no reason. Just
down to the Green then you moved?
Down to the Green. Michael Egan built a bungalow there for some German guy. He didn't turn up.
Right.
So I heard
You
about
stepped in. Like stealing Joe Dolan's thunder down in Glasson. You sold the Germans thunder. So good times in the Green as well. You had great neighbours everywhere you went.
Geez. Yeah. The Hugheses was unbelievable there. And Psyche Fleming and Margaret and Martin Malloy lived beside us as well, and the wife there. We had great times. Yeah, be out with Martin, he'd be getting ready for the parades and making stuff in the yard. Yeah, we had great times.
Eventually then, I suppose, Raheen and down to Church Street. Jackie Kennedy says, what does it feel like to eventually become a Church Street Ranger?
Good, yeah. It's great again, yeah. Brilliant neighbours.
But you're living in a very GEA house there.
That's
Micheál Guinan.
Micheál Guinan. And Kathleen was first cousin of mine.
As I know Carmel is listening to this.
Listens
every week, yeah.
Yeah, first cousin of mine, so there's a chance of the house come up to give it to us, yeah. Carmel and the sister.
Would you ever move again?
For the chance. No. Well, yeah. County home.
There's a big family of us in it, 9 of us, as we said at the start, yeah. Right. How did you keep us all out of trouble?
Oh, jeez, I don't know. You were very good, I have to say now, yeah.
Yeah.
You were great. You were like myself. You were into cars and motorbikes and everything, like.
There was no real messing around.
I never even thought it was your father, because I used to be going around with you, you know.
Yeah.
Like, I'd be going around with Lorenz and, you know, and Ivan and yourself and going everywhere here and there.
So you're saying you never grew up?
No.
We used to have some great times going up to Achill years ago on the holidays.
Oh, jeez, we used to play in Achill.
Half of Clara would follow us up.
Yeah, we were playing one night up in Prosperous, and your mother came with us. I was with the sailors, Rumman at the time, Pat Maguire and Damien Scally, and she was down chatting someone, and they were from Achill, and they said, I wonder will the lads come down and play in Achill. And then every year we play in Achill for a week. That goes into a house there. And you all come down, everyone will come down.
Half of Clara.
And later years, Tommy Murray will be down. And
Shane Dunn.
Yeah.
Mark Minnock, Lord of Mercy.
Mark Minnock.
Alan.
We used to bring everyone. And then actually we got to Cleveland. They had friends on. Went out to Cleveland in 2 or 3. We used to play before Paddy Riley. Paddy was big at the time, the fields of Attenry. Yeah,
brilliant.
Great memories of Achill.
Yeah. A big part of your life, I suppose, the biggest part of your life was working in Goodbody's factory.
Yeah.
Tell us about, when did you start there?
Well, I was going to Tech in Tullamore. My brother Seamus brought me in. He was a carpenter, so he said, just get a trade for yourself. And I went in. I was a good old time in there, me and Miles Riley and Willie Nolan. I used to cycle with Willie every morning. No buses that time.
Did the school?
Oh, cheers, up in we had the bike, push bikes.
Right.
Cycle in the whole crowd of us. Willie would have to get the paper first and read the horses. Oh, yeah, it was great in the time. And then my father came home on it and said it was a job going in the bag room. And my mother wanted me to keep going to the Tech, you know. Oh, just when I heard of this, I'm going into the factory.
Was that the done thing back then?
Yeah.
Just get working straight away, was it?
Oh, loads of work, yeah. That was the trouble.
Because you were only 15 or something.
Yeah, get the wages. And back into all the boys in the factory, Packy Slammett, Sean Bracken. You know, all this, Jesus, unbelievable, yeah. Great crack with the boys. Everyone had them nicknames and everyone telling this, that and the other.
Looking back, did you ever regret leaving school earlier?
Oh, no. No, never did. No, people worry now about school and college on the telly every night, forcing kids into be what they don't want to be. you know, when they have a brain of their own, they should let them just... Now, I'm not saying everyone should go into the factory like me, you know, but not to worry too much about it. Yeah. You get through life.
Speaking of younger people listening, what did you do what did the factory make, or tell us the steps?
Well, they made bags and sacks and covers and printing a lot of hired sacks for the corn to be trashing. And they made all types of materials, weaving. My mother worked on in the weaving, we had looms in the weaving, and there was a man killed in the weaving actually that day. It was serious stuff. That my mother was brought out of the factory, and I was born that night, 1939.
Imagine that.
Yeah, and I was in the factory years after, and I got a box one day in the store, a big wooden box, and written on the bottom of it was the night he died, 1939.
Imagine.
And his name and all that. You'd never forget that. And I used to pal around with his son. Go every day.
Yeah. So you went to the factory at 15 or something?
Yeah, 15, yeah.
What was the wages like?
£1 4 shillings. I gave my mother the pound, kept the 4 shillings. And again Tuesday I had the pound gone off her as well. Because you'd be going everywhere, you know.
Yeah. Like, was the crack good in the factory?
Oh, it was great.
Where did you go in the factory for the crack? Were you out for a fag?
No, up in the old house was the toilet. We called it old house. The women's old house, the men's old house. It'd be packed. First day you go in, it'd be unreal, like. You know, you'd be terrified the first day you go in.
Would there be a bit of slag in the room?
Oh, jeez, it was great. It'd be a great crack, yeah. Yeah.
Tell us about some of the characters up there.
Well, there was brilliant characters worked in the factory now. Very hard to name them all and to single out some.
Yeah.
You know, but Paddy Slamming would be a great man. And Josie and me would, then we...
Was there a story about you going shooting with Josie Slamming?
We used to go down shooting horselip every evening after work. Yeah. And I had a Morris Minor at the time. Josie was living in the terrace. Josie said to me, I bought a great gun. She is a brilliant gun, this. When you call her, 4 o'clock in the morning, I called for Josie. Josie came out with this gun, couldn't get into the car, had to leave the back window up and run it between the 2 front seats. John was sitting beside Josie, me and Tom and Duffin in the back, drove up, the wind and rain couldn't eyes over us, and this gun still out, couldn't up the window, and got up to where we were going anyway. Josie left the gun in the car, and I said, Josie, I'm not bringing the new gun, because it'd be brilliant, you know, for the deer, you know. It's not actually a gun, he said. Jack Rourke made it for me. It's a lump of piping. And Jim Grinham bought a handling. We were only cutting it.
So you went shooting with a fake gun. So other characters in the factory then that would have stood out to you?
Well, we had Jimmy Cushion at the printing there. Of course, we had Davy Cavan, all the boys out of the bands as well was there. Yeah. Jimmy Corinch.
So was there lads going from the band straight into work then?
Straight into work, yeah. Seamus Willis, you often saw him getting out of the van. And Paddy Tracy.
So at that time in your working life, what would you be doing at the weekends then, going to the dances and stuff?
Going to the dances, and there always something on, you know. Yeah. From our keys, there was in the green, like with the big carnivals, Piper used to come there. I remember me and Willie Doherty then, in later years I would be with Willie. And there was an armless wonder there. He had no arms. He used to play with his arm with his toes. It's a shilling to get to see him.
Did you pay the shilling?
Willie used to be. Yeah, me and Willie, if you even watch him. He was brilliant that, actually. Yeah. I think he had it switched on, though. You know, I thought of it in later years.
I heard somewhere before that you gave someone the fingers in the factory years ago.
Oh,
is that true?
Christ. Well, it was fierce snowy weather. This person was working on the machine, and a bag got stuck in it, and she put her hand into it and got her 2 fingers off. She was rushed away into the hospital. So I ran down. It was fierce frost and snow out. I ran down anyway and got, I don't know who it was, got the 2 fingers, and I got a jar in the canteen and put them into it and put snow in on top of it, off the top of the car.
That was good thinking.
Yeah. I was watching too much television at the time. And flew to Tullamore. Nearly caught up on them going in. And went in, the doctor was there and them all around. And I came in with this jar and told him I'd done this. So the manager then, we had a meeting, and we're all at the meeting. He said, before we finish the meeting, I'd like to congratulate Paddy and thank him and He went on and on about this thing, and I said, sure, what did I do? And he gave her the fingers. And all the voices. Oh, Jesus.
How did that go down?
I ruined the whole job. I just gave me too much stress.
What were the Goodbodies like to work for?
Oh, they were very good, John.
I mean, they did a lot for Clara.
Yeah, that was early on, the Goodbodies. They were Quakers, and they were brilliant.
Yeah.
They were very, you'd be terrified of them, like Eric and all this, They come in and roar and shout. They'd never call you by your first name, no.
Would they not?
No, by Bracken and Fitzpatrick. And me and Charlie Fitzpatrick out of Green. That'd be old Charlie now. And Joe Mara. We were working on the printing. And we were trying out these brands, we were putting paper on the cotton so as people could make sheets out of them after. 4 bags, it'd be a sheet. Everyone was sleeping on these bags, including ourselves. Right. 4 of them are lovely sheets. You could be sleeping on Heart's Delight written on it, or an ass and another one, or whatever they were advertising. We were there, and Charlie would be there with the arms folded. He was to take out the bags in under this big arm, and Eric would be sitting there waiting for it to come out, he'd sit in an armchair, waiting for him to see the brand. Was it right? He'd pass it, And Charlie was carrying out a few, and he said to me, the sooner this, I won't say it goes home, the better. I'm sick looking at him here. He has me strangled. So Charlie said he'd leave him waiting then, and it was piling up, and Eric decided he'd go in, and he coming back, he forgot the duck and split himself. That'll keep him over there, no, says Charlie. He won't go in there anymore.
So there was factory excursions then, wasn't there?
Factory excursions then to Galway. You paid it. We had a canteen there and all, and you paid in social club so much. And when you get the holidays then, everyone, all the women, years back now, years back, when we'd be all young, we go to Galway, always in the factory excursion to pull in a big steam engine, and Matt Fleming, Matt Fleming's father, Matt now out of Green, and then Josie's father, Josie Meehan's father, he played accordion the whole way down to Galway. Wow. He was a brilliant musician. That's where the boys got it,
Yeah.
And he'd play Bill Fleming. He'd play the accordion down and packed with kids. There'd be babies now.
Yeah.
And everyone would bring their family. This was the biggest excursion. You'd get a bus out to Salt Hill, but if you couldn't get the bus, if you had a few quid extra, you get the sidecar, which would be great. My mother and father would be sitting up in this. We'd be in the middle of it, a whole scrub, horse-drawn. It was brilliant time,
Great times.
But you come back then early. Jacqueline and Noel would be at it now. And Mary would be trying to mother. The boys would be jarred, in the Salt Hill. We'd be all waiting for them at the train, The boys would come in. A whole crowd of them,
Yeah.
The older lads.
Yeah.
And so there'd be a carnival in the green, in Salt Hill, the fair green in the middle, Ayr Square. There'd be a big carnival there. There'd be ghost trains, swinging boats, cherub dance. So we'd all come in from Salt Hill early to have a go at this stuff, So me and Josie's Lamb was there one day, and Josie said, we'll get into the ghost train. I said, oh, Jesus, I won't get into it. Get in, he said, it's a great crack. It's on tracks, It was a big tent, and you go around the ring 3 or 4 times in it. Haunted house and all this. I got with Josie. Little buggy, like a bumping car, but there was a seat behind as well. There was no one in it. Me and Josie was in this. There was other seats were full. We were going round. Just when we got halfway, this ghost, a skeleton came out, rattling bone, lights in the top of his head and everything. Nearly got away acted over us. Coming round the next time anyway, Josie knew where he was. He was coming down out of the ceiling or out of his tin. So just when we passed by, Josie put up his hand and pulled him down and put him into the seat behind us. When the ghost train came round the last time, we had to jump out and fly for the train. The ghost was in the back of it. That was great time.
In later years then in the factory, you were a supervisor there for a long time?
Yeah.
What was that like dealing with everyone?
I got on great with them actually. Well, you'd have to have a bit of savvy. Like one lad, they'd want to go down on a Monday morning to get a drink and Jimmy Rabbits. And he'd come over to you and, you clock him out and let him off.
Yeah.
And then he'd want to know, was it all right if he took someone's bike? And there'd be no sign of him a dinner hour. And the lad that had a bike be outside waiting to go on to his dinner, you know. But you'd have all that. You'd meet them years after and I mentioned it to you.
The factory siren was famous around Clara, wasn't
The
it?
horn, you had to call it, yeah. Jeez, it was mega.
Dinner time in the morning time.
Well, if you're at home, before you go into the factory, everyone went by it. You'd be on the board. It's 1 o'clock, it's 6 o'clock, you know, it's 8 o'clock. They went by that. People wouldn't have clocks or watches or mobile phones or nothing, you know. You just went by the horn in the factory. Yeah.
How long did you do in the factory?
I was 40 years there, I think, or more, yeah. Yeah.
Long time.
Oh, Jesus, lifetime, yeah. I enjoyed it now.
Did you?
I loved it. Yeah, I did. Playing the music at the same time.
Yeah.
I used to be asking you. And then there was a good few bands there. You know, there'd be Davy County, Speedy McCormick. There'd be all different lads with bands. Yeah. Jerry Redmond would be playing with me. We out last night, many nights actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was there a battle then for if someone was getting married? What band did
Oh,
hire?
yeah, how you'd get going, yeah. Or would you get paid for it? You'd be playing a wedding set time for a tenner, like.
Right.
Yeah, I played it. People in Clara now know if they were listening. They know it. Yeah, it'd be a tenner for a wedding, like. And that'd be it. The money would be fair small, like.
So you had €8 on, didn't you? There's bands listed now here. You finished up then. Was that an abrupt thing to finish in the factory?
You see, new people took it over.
Right.
And McCormick chap, he was manager there, you know. So 6 of us one day was let go just in a flash. Eric Roast and Lord of Mercy. And myself, an accountant from Athlone. But the worst of all was a fella from England, your sales rep. He was told to come over. There was a meeting. He thought he was getting a rise, he told me. Yeah, he was gone.
Yeah.
But then after that, they let him go one after another. You know.
Like, that was a huge thing to spend 40 years in a factory, a lot of friends and that, and then just to be told,
geez.
as I remember that time well,
yeah, you crack
over
up.
Lunchtime or you come home and said, that was it, I'm finished in the factory.
Finished in the factory.
Like, that was a huge...
Yeah, walking around the house, down the bungalow there in the green, everyone going to work. Oh, jeez, it was a disaster, yeah. It was now. You know, it was a bad way of letting off people.
Yeah.
You know, there was 6 or 7 of us let off. No mercy.
Right.
Gone, you know. And the lads that was left after me now, they were let go in a bunch then. Maybe 2 or 3 years after, or a year after. Oh, it was a curse to miss all your friends. You know, we used to have a great time in the factory.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, early on in life, there was the canteen. It was the Galway excursion, the canteen. Film of a Wednesday night. We all chatting here, going to the film. And Friday night then a dance in the canteen. Morris Lynch from the north. All the bands down, the best of band. It's a big shock, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Another big part of your life was the entertainment business then. Like, you played with a lot of bands. Like, firstly, how did you get into music?
Well, we were chatting. Eddie Rex was great in the factory, you know. And the late Eddie Rex, you know, I don't say that about everyone. Because to me, I try and keep them.
People will understand.
I try and keep them all, you know, still around, you know. And Eddie said to me, we're starting a band with the lads, you know. There'll be PJ, Niall, Aidan, PJ, Niall and Tommy. And Tommy Minnock's playing with us as well. He's playing guitar. Tommy O'Marion Square. Yeah. He's living in my house now, actually. Imagine. Yeah. So I went down to Rex's house then. I was doing a bit of singing and the boys was playing. The next thing we started getting vocals ringing. Eddie used to drive us. 5 of us in the band.
Were you just singing at that time? Or?
Singing just in the band, yeah. We played at Jim Connolly's wedding and the wife. We started playing a good few weddings there. And
but like, had you any music in you before that, or just how did?
I was in score, like.
Oh, yeah. We'll have a little listen to this. This is a good friend of yours, actually, Michael Sheridan. Oh. And Michael, will tell us a bit more about your debut.
Yeah. Paddy made his debut with us in Score. It was the most unusual ballad group that you'd ever pick. Gabriel Cray was there with the accordion, Father and Jimmy Dunn on the vocals, and Michael Pett. And we used to train over in the union rooms. The Transport Union had rooms there, meeting rooms over where the houses are built now in front of the swimming pool. And there'd be great crack because fellas like Michael Pett wouldn't be used to the lads. They'd be working on Goodbodies and there'd be a great crack going on about different things. We were going one night anyway to the practice in the union room, and I went to collect Father and Jimmy Dunn, and then I had to go up to Kilcorsi to collect Francie Tracy. Francie used to be always in Tom Newman's. So he was coming out with Tom Newman's on a fierce dark night, no lights on the roads. And that was known as Badgerstown at that time. So anyway, we got Francie out and got me into the car. And Francie says, Mick, you changed your car since last week. No, I didn't, Francie. Oh, you did? The seats are much higher. Francie was standing up and was up in the back window. Was standing on the seat. He couldn't see when he came out. He stood up on the seat and he says, oh, no, it's much higher. And the boy started laughing, Francie, will you get down onto the ground? You're up sitting in the back window. But then was the cracks that went on. Your father, of course, is a man that travelled a lot of houses. And he's living in a very famous GA house now, as you say. Michael Gagnon and Kathleen were great GA people. Paddy was always very positive. He looked on the bright side of life. And I remember one time, Paddy went up to Dublin one time, way back years ago, and the time of the Teddy Boys were in. He went up anyway and he met cousins in Dublin, the Brennans. Of course, Paddy came back then, and the first time we seen him, I had danced the next night, he had on the drain pipes, a real light blue. And
he still has them.
Probably still. But that was it. Paddy had the drain pipes because he was a big fan of the Elvis Presley's of that and the jive and all that. And he was good at it. I know your father since he was going to school and around Clara and working with him for years in Goodbody's. His famous start in football up in Fleming's Field, and he had a run-in with one of our senior players. He gave him a ball, and because he didn't get it, Paddy said that ended his career. He never went up anymore.
A very short football career.
He had a short football career, promising career, but cut very short. He wasn't able to take the hacking.
I don't know which is worse, the trousers or the not able to take the hacking. Have you still got them drain pipes? That was Mick Sheridan, a neighbour of yours now.
Great neighbour, yeah. I worked with Mick in the mechanic shop for years and years. Pat Stone's old Pat, young Pat was on the smuts.
Of course, Angela is your barber.
Angela cut the hair for when I had hair.
See, your GEA career, that was fairly short.
Martin Flattery ruined my career. That's
Martin
what I thought.
Flattery.
Martin shouted at me, he was going to kill me. We ended up the best of friends after.
So you played with Francie Tracy and Gabriel Cray.
Gabriel Cray, yeah. And he played at her wedding as well, Gabriel. Yeah, that time there was no big bands like yours, you know. No thousands or hundreds or anything. They had their dinner and that was it.
Myself and Michael White were talking about a story with Gabriel Cray that you asked him to go up another octave on the accordion. Tell us about that.
We were doing, Mick Pat was after doing college and all, you see, and we wouldn't be doing all that, and just in the take for a week or two. Gabriel was there playing the accordion all his life, but just knew, pressed the buttons and had it, you know. And Jimmy Dunn, we were doing Ireland's 32 and score, and Mick called it off, started doing that, and he said, Gabriel, you may come up an octave. And Gabriel looked at me, and I looked at Jimmy, and Jimmy looked back at me. I said, I think we'll take a break for a minute. And Gabriel called me, Paddy, I want to see in the toilet for a minute. We went into the toilet. What's wrong? What's an octave, Paddy? I haven't a clue. I said, I don't know what an octave. And what'll I do? He said you were to go up an octave. And when you come out, tell him you went up an octave. And he probably doesn't know either, you know. So Gabriel came out. I went up an octave, Mick.
Brilliant.
And off we went. Yeah. Mick
You went on then.
Great man, Mick.
You went on then from the Rexes then. Did you play with Eamon Dunn?
Eamon Dunn, the Midlanders, and Paddy Dunn. That's Bullet. Paddy, I would agree. We had the best time with Eamon as well. I enjoyed all the boys playing with him down the year. But Eamon Dunn was a brilliant accordion player.
Yeah. It's gas how it comes around that I'm playing with Eamon's son now, Barry.
Yeah, that's right.
And you played years ago.
Yeah. And I was out in America one night, and I was up at the bar, and I heard this fella calling out my name, and I looked up, and it was Here's Dunn was playing with the band.
In America?
In America, yeah. Yeah. Unbelievable. We had a great crack.
Good time. So who was with Eamon? Who else was with you?
Eamon and Paddy Dunn, the three of us, were playing. But I remember Colin Wickelson now is famous, you know, Colin Wickelson in America. But he played in the Lantern every fortnight. He played in the Tower Lounge as well. And he was absolutely brilliant. One guitar, his little Vox amp. And we used to play before him. So Colin Wickelson came in the Tower this night, and he had another fellow with him. And we were up at the bar, of course, as usual, me and Eamon. And Paddy had the gear set up, the drums and all, waiting. We'd played in for an hour or two, and then Paddy McCormick, the great footballer, owned it. And we'd played there regularly. So this fellow Colin said to me, is it all right if your man uses your drums? I said, yes, I don't think there's any bother. Well, I tell you, relax, Paddy. You know, Paddy, Colin wants to know, is it okay if your man plays your drums? Paddy said, I have no problem with that. So your man goes up and he's running around them, getting them ready. And he comes back down. And he said to Paddy, you've only one cymbal. Yes, says Paddy, but you have no drums, you're not playing them. What do you mean? You're not playing them. You're complaining about my drums. Where's your own? And Colin said, Paddy Lamb. No, he's not playing. And he never played him. He wouldn't have played him. Yeah, and he was right.
Brilliant. You played a lot of other lads from Clara as well, don't you?
Yes.
I suppose everyone nearly.
Speedy, Trevor Kavanagh, Pat Hennis. Pat started off with me, you know.
Did he?
Actually, now the boys knows that, yeah. Pat Hennis. His mother asked me one day in a passing. Wow. Pat was in school. He said, if any hope you're taking Pat into the band, he's going mad to him with someone. And I said, I will, yeah. And, several fellas played with me, yeah.
Well, actually, speaking of Trevor Kavanagh and Pat Ennis, Lord have mercy on him, there's a bit of outstanding debt, I heard during the week.
Yeah, Pat Ennis used to tax me.
We'll hear a little bit from Trevor Kavanagh about this debt now and get this cleared up.
Some of my longest memories of him is that he owes Pat Ennis 17 and sixpence and he owes me 7 and 6. And that raises a couple of questions. Why didn't we get paid? And why was Pat Ennis getting paid a lot more than I was? So
there's some outstanding debt there.
Oh, there is, yeah. Well, if you consider I was only 16, maybe 17 at the time, and add interest onto that for 40-something years, yeah, could go into one of them tribunals. I first played with your dad, as I say, I was about 16 or 17. And it was one of the greatest experiences I ever had. I knew a few chords in different keys. Paddy had a great knack of, he mightn't tell you the name of a song, but he shouted, it could have been the first night I was with him, he shouted, it's a quick step, lads, in F. Now, out of the 3 major chords, I knew there was F and C, but I didn't know what the middle one was. But by the time your man, who the song was written about, by the time he was executed or whatever happened to him, I had discovered B flat. Paddy, one thing about him, like a lot of the musicians in Clara, he was great for giving younger lads a chance. So I could be there with John Roach, Pat Ennis, Paddy Horn, Joe Murray played with him for a long time. I was there and some of them. Then Joe played with him, Joe Bracken. It also gave me opportunities to get to play along with Billy Digan. Right. Billy used to come along and sing fairly regularly with your dad, and to me, Billy was, I always rated the top 3 country singers in Ireland. That's how good a country singer Billy was. So I got, by playing along with your dad, I got an opportunity to play along with all these fellas as well. I'd just like to remind you, Lloyd, to cherish what you're doing on this podcast with your dad, because I was very lucky to have got several opportunities to play on stage along with my father. I really enjoyed it at the time, but when time moves on and people move on, them memories become even nicer and warmer, and I was very lucky to be able to get on stage with him. There was one thing about going to play along with Paddy Bracken you were always guaranteed of, and that was a great laugh, great crack.
So now that was Trevor. Nice words from Trevor.
Thank you very much, Trevor.
What about this debt?
The debt. Pat Hennis used to tax me that every time he'd see me. Yeah.
Well, Trevor, he owes me money for a gig in Tullamore in 1990, so don't feel too bad. There's too many names to mention that you played with.
I know, Matt McCormick there in Tullamore as well.
The Sailors was a big one.
Martin Riley. Sailors, Pat Maguire, Damien Scally.
Tommy Stones.
And Brian Rowan. It was with the Sailors for 13 years. Yeah.
You travelled around a bit with the Sailors, didn't you?
Everywhere. We were everywhere. We were in New York, all over. Milwaukee. Played all over, yeah.
Great crack.
Indianapolis, Indy 500 twice. Yeah, and Nashville twice. Yeah.
A few 10-pound weddings as well.
A few 10-pound weddings in between. I don't know how we got away. We even played in Niagara. Pat Maguire and Damien and myself in the hotel. Yeah, drove down from New York. Good old days.
You mentioned Martin Riley there.
Martin is a great friend, yeah.
Sent a little message into me. He said, what can I say about Paddy? A great friend and a great character. Fantastic memories over the years. A great man for the yarns and stories. Never a dull night in Paddy's company. Played many great nights together down through the years. Loads of stories. He's known by everyone and we were always the last to leave anywhere we went. I've enjoyed the past couple of years. Fantastic times with Paddy, and hopefully we'll get to make a few more memories. And that's for Martin Riley.
Well, man, Martin, great stuff. We had great times together, yeah.
Martin.
See, the thing about the music, you'd never want to fall out with anyone or anything, because it's a sideline, sort of, as such. You're getting a few quid and all, but you'd enjoy it, you know, and you have to, you know.
Did the music ever become a job, or...?
No, just... Once I was getting the pension, I didn't mind, you know.
Speaking of the pension, you did a few gigs in the nursing home. Were you ever worried that you'd be kept?
It was very hard to come out after. I was stopped several times.
You were just thinking of the 3 meals.
You can't leave. You can't leave. I'm playing with the band, but you can't leave.
Brilliant. Tricia Duffy said to me, he said, don't forget to ask your father about Lourdes.
Trish used to come in and she keeps shouting up at me all night, slagging me. I used to love it because I'd be shouting down. I was playing in Lourdes for 16 years in the hotels, believe it or not. And Trish and Lily Bracken out of Green and they'd all come in and we used to have a great crack. And one day Trish thought she was in the middle of the seat, but she was on the end of it and she shouted to make room for someone else, and then she was lying on her back on the floor. She was all bandaged up her ankle the next day. And we had a great laugh for her. But the next night she was coming in and I said, Trish, don't forget to behind the safety belt when you sit down. That didn't go down too well.
Was there no miracle, Tricia, in Lourdes?
We never recovered in all the years of winter.
And you were introduced to the Clara Music Hall of Fame a few years ago.
Down
in Mick No. There was Trevor Kavanagh that organised that.
Trevor Kavanagh.
Yourself and Martin Riley.
Martin Riley, yeah.
What was that like to be recognised by fellow musicians?
It was unreal, like. It was great because I wouldn't be into that, like, to be honest with you.
Right.
Everywhere I'd be playing, it was having the crack and chatting the boys up at the bar. I used to love playing in Paddy Flynn's. Tom Fleming chap would come in and he used to tell great yarns, you know. And he was telling me one night, but and I taught my father bought an ass of Fleming's in Ballycummer. You managed with a load of ass. Everyone bought an ass in Fleming's and Ballycummer. So my father bought this ass. The Fleming man had always wanted to know after how the ass got on, the fall, and was he good or was he bad? You know, he treated him like a human being, the asses. So my father got the ass anyway. Didn't see Fleming for about a year or two. He's passed him on there. Me and him going to Moat on the old bikes years back. And Tom Fleming, oh, Jesus, Joe, I was looking out for you. I was going on to see you. How was you ever going on with the little ass I saw you? Jesus, my father said he was great on the ball, but he bite you now, you know. Oh, Jesus, he said. He would not. He would, yeah, he will bite. And, but when he got loaded with the turf, he'd pull it out of the bog. There'd be no stopping him. He'd go straight out onto the main road. But I tell you, you'd want four to catch him in the morning. Oh, Jesus, Fleming, you would not. You would. And he'd kick you as well, he said. Now, Joe, before you go any further, there was about 20 asses out in the field. See the ass there on the right, grazing. That's the mother of the foal I saw, Joe. But Jesus, my father, he wouldn't know where you'd be talking. He was mad, he said anything about the ass.
Very good. Where would you hear it, folks? We're talking about music, then we end up talking about donkeys. You're still playing at 82.
Oh, yes.
Will you ever retire?
Oh, no.
Who are you playing with now?
Damien. With Damien Scally years, between the sailors, and we were Scalbrack one time. Right. And then we were one for the road. We were the sailors, the two of us, for a long time. Pat Maguire left because Pat had a farm and he was farming. He couldn't get away because I'd be ringing Damien. I'm going over to Washington, D.C. Although I went to Washington with Pat Maguire after and Tom, his brother, and played there.
Mm-hmm. So you said you're still with Damien. Let's have a little word from Damien.
Hi, Lloyd. Damien Scally here. Yeah, you asked me to say a few words about Paddy. What can I say? Paddy and I have had some fantastic years together playing music. We've been all over the place. He's one of the best guys I ever played with in the music business. We had some terrific sort of times. And as I had a good friend, somebody there that would cover for you. We knew what both of us sort of thought. the same thing. We went into a gig, you do the same thing, and it was absolutely fantastic. So the best of luck to Paddy. Thanks.
So that was Damien. You're still with Damien.
Damien's gal.
Nice words there from Damien.
Cheers, great, yeah. They're all great, like boys in the business.
You must be the oldest gigging musician out there, yeah?
I'd say in Ireland at the moment, yeah. I don't know, probably am, yeah. I love it actually. I love having a crack. I love going in, putting up the gear and going over to the bar.
No, we'll have to stop there now because you saying putting up gear.
No,
that's the biggest lie you ever told in your life. Damien, if you're listening to this, and Pat Dunn as well, if you're listening to this.
Pat Dunn was a great friend of mine as well. And Maggie played with him for years, yeah. And over to the bar, me, Tommy Scandon, and me, all the boys, and I'm playing at home, or down in Counts, or in the mill. And Frank had come over and we'd have the crack. And
Dara Scully was telling me that it used to be down in Old Sam's or wherever it was that time, Derville's.
Sherville.
And the two of you come in and you would have a pint and Pat would have half the gear up. You know what we do? You've recorded a few bits down through the years.
I did. No,
we'll have a little listen to them now.
Oh, Lord.
The little town of Clara I'm longing for to see. Sure, there's not a spot in Ireland that's half so dear to me. I recall the years I lived there. Sure, I never wore a frown. Happy were my boyhood days on the streets of Clara town. And the beer. Back across the ocean to my home far away. It's nice to be returning, but sad to have to say I'd like to find a way to be to places at one time. It's easy going back again, but it's hard to say goodbye. I close my eyes and picture the emerald of the sea, the fishing boats that dingle to the shores of Dundee. I miss the River Shannon and the folks at Skibbereen, the moorlands and the meadows, and there's 40 shades of green. But most of all I miss a girl.
That's some tunes there from your multi-platinum greatest hits, 1969.
John D. in Mullingar.
Nice to have them though, isn't it?
Pat Dunn, Ash was grand to have them, yeah.
Did you ever want to be more famous than you are now?
Oh, jeez, I wish I was famous.
Well, tell us about your acting career. There's a lot of people there doesn't know.
Well, Declan writes. Declan rang me one night and he said, Paddy, we're doing a film called Pure Mule down in Burr, and we want a fella like yourself to sing a few songs. But no, they'd have to be old songs. I said, that's mostly what I do.
No problem to you.
Yeah. So I said, yeah, that's it. So will you call down next Wednesday and bring the man that's with you? That was Pat Dunn. And we went down to the hotel there in Burr and met all the cast. We were there for a week, me and Pat, and because it was great crack and the pub at night at the mall. They were finishing off. Pure Mule ran for... Jeez, it ran. It was on again there.
What was the other film you were in there?
The Flag there. That was the latest one.
Crime Line was there, wasn't it?
I missed Crime Line twice. Yeah, Pat Short and Young Rex again. Fair play to him.
There's a lot of people out there doesn't know that your actual ambition in life is to be on the Angeles at 6 o'clock.
When Brian Cowan got in T-shirt, Brian said to me, Paddy, you're after driving me when I was 15, when my father was running for the Dáil. I had no licence to drive, and you drove me around Pulla everywhere. And he said, now you're driving again your car and bringing people down to vote. And I mean, if I get in, there was about 10 of them there to come in. If I get in, Paddy, what would you like me to get you? I'd love to be on D'Angelo's every evening. And I was serious about it. I could picture myself every evening coming out.
So if there's anyone out there listening want to get me father on the Angeles, He's heading for 83. You want to get there fairly fast. Actually, speaking of Brian Cowan, we had a message from Barry Cowan in as well.
Come on, Barry.
Paddy Bracken is one of our legends, one of Clara's institutions, a great tonic for anyone when you meet him, a great positive outlook on life, epitomised by his energy, drive and passion for enjoyment and endless entertainment. We're all the better for his presence amongst us. That's Barry Cowan.
Barry Cowan. Come on, Barry.
You would have been a good politician, actually, would you?
I would, yeah. If I went to school.
We had another message in from another friend of yours, T.R. Dallas.
Oh, man, Tom.
Have a listen to this.
Paddy Bracken, the legend, unreal.
Tom, you know him a long time. How many years?
I was trying to think about that on the way down. It must be well over 50, I'd say, anyway.
50 years.
Yeah.
Some good times in that 50 years.
We had always good times. We always had good times, and sure, I love his company, and I'd ring Paddy and say that I'm going to do a concert in Mallow or wherever I'd be going to, and Paddy would come along with me, and that would be fantastic. We'd laugh all the way there and all the way back. I'm not saying this because he's your dad and because he's my friend, but he's a pure gent. Like, he's a real gentleman. I could take Paddy anywhere in the world with me, and we have been from France to Wales to Scotland. We've been a lot of places together and all over Ireland. And you could take Paddy anywhere because you'd know he wasn't going to offend or interfere or insult anybody. He was just a legend in many, many ways. A great guy, loves the music as we all do. He's in it as long as I am. Like, I know him over 50 years, as I said, and I think that, I just enjoy his company so much, and he would be one of my best friends. He was an entertainer. And I mean, you can be a brilliant singer, a brilliant musician, and we have loads of them around. But when it comes to entertaining, that's the difference. And Paddy Bracken, apart from being a singer, drummer, he's an entertainer. Paddy had a word for everybody, and that's why he was so popular, and he's still so popular. No matter where I'd still go, they'd say to me, "And where's that man that was with you the last time?" And I'd say, "Oh, Jeannie, Paddy, Paddy Bracken."
He's still alive.
Still mad alive, absolutely mad alive, and I'm delighted for that too. Yeah, all I'd say to him is, "Keep doing what you're doing, Paddy, because it's been good to you up to now." And he's reared a fantastic family. Himself and Kathleen are two of the best people I know, and they've raised a great family, and the next generation are great as well. And all I can say is I'm so happy to be a friend of Paddy Bracken's.
That was nice from T.R. there.
Thanks very much, Tom. Brilliant. Yeah.
Tom was on his way back down from RTE
brilliant.
actually the other day.
Brilliant.
And popped into us here in Raheen FM. Yeah. We had one last message there from Simon Casey.
Oh, man, Simon.
Paddy, you're unreal. A great support to all of us church mice back in the day. Thanks for the laughs, the advice, and our first tour bus, the garden shed on wheels, as Dustin called it. Wishing you many more years of entertainment.
Thanks, Simon.
If you could rewind your life, if you had a remote, where would you rewind it back to?
The same thing again, I do it. Yeah, I would. I'd just do the same thing again.
But is there any part that you'd like to just go back to for once? Or?
Well, I don't think there's any, I love the old time was great now. When the electricity came in, when we had only a tilly lamp pumping it and all that, there's great life as well, to be able to talk about it. And I remember it'd be going down, but I have to tell this one anyway, about this fella that had an open fire, and the electricity was after getting it in the house. And it was in the winter time, and he said he'd surprised a wife. He got the loan of a electric heater of a fella at work. And he brought home, he didn't tell her about it, and she said, "It's cold tonight." "Well, do you hear this now?" He said. "Well, you see this. Well, you see this." He plugged it in anyway. The bars lit up on it. And of course, the whole time she was looking at it, she was thinking, how much is this going to cost? Because everyone was talking about cost when they come in first. This electricity will rob you. Switch off this, switch off that. So after 2 hours, she said, "Jackie, you know something? You'll have to pull out the plug on that. We won't be able to pay for it." "Sure, we're not going to pay for it." "Why?" "I got the loan of it off a fellow at work."
Right, we do a quick fire round normally at the end of every podcast. So we see how you get on. The first thing that goes into your mind.
Yeah.
Who is your favourite singer?
Oh, sure, it has to be Damien Scally.
Elvis or Roy Orbison?
Roy Orbison.
Best thing about Clara?
The people.
What actor would play you in a film?
Groucho Marx.
Favourite song to sing?
The streets of Clara Town.
Favourite country you visited?
I'll have to say England because all my family worked over there and lived there.
What was your first car?
An Anglia. Joe Cullen bought it for me in Tullamore. IR 22 something.
The first movie you've ever seen?
Hopalong Cassidy.
Your favourite TV show?
At the moment, the news.
And the last question, what do you want to be when you grow up?
Alive.
Did you ever write a song?
No, for the reason I didn't. I really have to learn the ones I'm singing first, and then I drive one. But I have one, a little one, if you have time there.
Well, yeah,
I didn't write it, but I thought it up years back, yeah.
Are you going to sing it? Or?
I'll sing a bit of it, if you don't mind, or maybe we have time.
No, I don't mind, sure.
Okay,
yeah.
Right. Well, if you are feeling kinda sick, you wanna get better very quick, this old dance will do the trick. Started doing the Clara Samba. You dance right round like a kangaroo till your legs go bandy. Wiggle and you wobble like a wobbling duck, and the rhythm is really grandy. Now Mrs. Riley had a hen, laid an egg and it didn't lay it, so she gave it some Beecham's pill. Started doing the Clara Samba. You dance right round like a kangaroo till your legs go bandy. Wiggle and you wobble like a wobbling duck, and the rhythm is really grandy. Now things are going from bad to worse. Said old Samba is a curse. The other night Paddy Willie's horse started doing the Clara Samba. You dance right round like a kangaroo till your legs go bandy. Wiggle and you wobble like a wobbling duck, and the rhythm is really grandy. Yeah.
Very good.
That's for Kevin and Alan over there in New York. Thank you.
Cheers, you'll need another bypass after that. So, when we're listening back to this in 20 years, and obviously you'll be probably still here anyway, what advice would you give to the younger generation now?
Be happy and don't do any harm to anyone, and have the crack with everyone, and have no enemies. Just enjoy life. Enjoy life as it comes. That's it. Money doesn't make that much difference, really.
We had so many messages in on this podcast, but we had one. We know you have 29 grandkids.
30.
And, well, 30, whatever I lost count after mine anyway. But
and a great grandchild.
We'd one question in from the States, from Sophie, your great grandchild. So listen to this now.
Jesus.
This is from Sophie, everybody.
Hey Paddy, if you were stuck on an island with 3 things, what would you have?
Thank you, Sophie, for that wonderful message about the desert island. What would I bring with me? I think at the moment, Sophie, I'll skip the desert island, and I will make a wish for you and for everyone. A big wish for everyone that the virus will go away and we'll all live a normal life again. That's my wish to everyone listening. Thank you.
Right, the last one in actually. Tammy Dunnigan in America asked me, would you wish Debbie Tracy a happy birthday?
I will. Debbie, I worked with you in the factory. You were a great girl. We never fell out. We had great times. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to Debbie. Happy birthday to you.
Brilliant.
A girl there.
Got flashbacks of Marilyn Monroe singing to the president. Right, that's it. Is there anything you'd like me to ask you?
Nothing much.
No.
Are you enjoying yourself in Raheen?
Yeah.
I know I cottage you at the house.
I know, and I kicked you out then. So we both caught each other.
But are you settling in? Do you like the neighbours? You do?
Yeah, great. Yeah.
They're brilliant.
Lovely neighbours.
Jerry
yeah.
Collins and Brady and the young lad next door, I wish them the best of luck. Yeah. And Ted Murphy and Eileen, they're this side. Great stuff. And everyone I know.
Right, I have to say thanks very much for coming in to chat on the podcast.
Thanks everyone for ringing in.
It's been a lot of fun. Just want to thank you all for you've done for everyone, and personally for me down through the years with drumming and all that. And
Ryan, I never mentioned this.
Yeah, and see, there's too many people to mention, I suppose. But thanks for the support all down through the years. Sure, hopefully there's plenty of life in the old dog yet.
No bother. Keep drumming, Ryan.
And my mother as well.
Oh, yeah. How are you, Kathleen? How's it going?
Thanks very much.
Here's to Ulster, Line and all, Armagh and from Donegal, to Cavan and to Derry and Tyrone, to Fermanagh, Monaghan down, till Ulster's puppet crown, till Ireland 32 is all around. So here's to all Ireland undivided, to all young Irishmen are true, the north, the south, the east, the west, they will be forever blessed, one for all and all for Ireland 32.
This podcast is brought to you by The Secret Wedding Band. Get your party off in the right note. For more info, contact The Secret Wedding Band today at www.thesecrets.ie or find us on Facebook.
You just listened to What's the Story with Lloyd Bracken. Check out all our social channels for info on new episodes. Oh, and thanks for listening. On the Town.